Hello, my friends. My name is Tom Ross, and welcome to the Honest Entrepreneur Show, where I'm bringing you tried and tested advice to help your online business without any of the bullshit. I'm really excited today because I'm doing round 2 of Q&A. I've asked you guys on my Instagram for some questions to film tonight. I got some amazing questions and I really enjoyed the feedback on the previous Q&A episode that I did. I like this format, to be honest. I'm going to dabble. Maybe I'm going to still have the kind of more scripted episodes, but I like the spontaneity of it. I like the energy of it. I like being able to help multiple people to get to the heart of what you guys actually need to know. So I'm going to keep them going. Please leave a comment below if you're a fan of this format of episode, because I want to keep it going. Question number 1 is from Teresa. And Teresa has a pretty serious question, actually. She asks how to handle personal loss and still be professional in your business because she's struggling to deal at the moment. And first of all, Teresa, I'm really, really sorry to hear about your particular personal loss recently. That's always a horrible, horrible thing. My answer would be, I think you need to give yourself a break. The way I view personal loss and grieving and that whole process is similar to being sick. I think you do yourself a disservice to be trying to just push through and battle through and get the work done. If you were full of the flu, then you probably wouldn't be trying to fire on all cylinders and you wouldn't expect that of yourself. The same thing needs to go for your mental health. And obviously, your mental state is going to be impacted very much when you go through something like a tragedy, like a personal loss. You know, that can hit us the hardest out of anything in life. So my answer would simply be to give yourself a break. And, you know, if you really can't stop work and have some time to yourself, have a me day or a me week and some self-care and compassion, then just do it in a more measured way. Try and get the rest in, try and get that self-care in around your work, but really it's not a time to be pushing forward and trying to like check off everything on the to-do list. Just kind of rein it back, maybe do the bare minimum if you do need to work, and look after you first and foremost. The next question is from Paul Hallam, who's been super active actually lately in the comments. Really appreciate it, Paul. Paul asks, how do you stay inspired in the grind of work, especially if the work isn't exciting or is very junior? And I think there's a few angles to this question, Paul. First of all, I think your inspiration, your motivation is going to come from the type of work. So being an entrepreneurial individual, like I am, my answer tends to be move and migrate towards the work that fires you up and lights you up. I think that's the answer in the macro sense in life. You know, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, you're going to have issues. So if you're doing something you're not passionate about and you're never going to be passionate about, then you might want to shift your path. And that might sound like a luxury, but people do it every day, right? A lot of people do it through a side hustle. If you are more entrepreneurial and you've got a day job, then use your time around that to kind of find your fulfillment, to scratch that itch, whatever it is that you freaking love to do. I really think life's too short not to go after that. That being said, you're talking about like work which is maybe more junior. Also recognize you need to balance that entrepreneurial ambition and drive and, do whatever makes you happy with practicality and with paying your dues. I did this for a lot of years, right? So I now am pretty experienced in both design and marketing and entrepreneurship, but I absolutely did work that was more junior. I did freelancing for a lot of years where it was just clients sitting on my shoulder and really lame, boring projects. And the same thing with marketing and blogging. You have to start somewhere. So you're not going to get the most bombastically exciting clients, projects, companies, ventures, whatever it is you're doing at day one. You really do need to pay your dues. So I think keeping focused on the long game. It's okay to kind of go through some of that trudge if you know where it's going to take you. If you're just bouncing around aimlessly, then it might be a bit more soul destroying. Set your goals, set your sights on something that you're super passionate about, and then realize you got to play that long game. You've got to keep plugging away, but one step in front of the other is how you're going to get there. And if some of those steps are more junior or more boring or more tedious or whatever it might be, it's not going to be tedious in the macro because you're going to realize that you're edging towards that more exciting goal. Paul, very, very greedily, Paul asked 2 questions. And his second question is, any tips for approaching agencies for representation, especially for illustration? And this is really good timing because I just jumped off a live call with the super talented Lauren Hom, and she was talking about this, and I completely agree. It's a numbers game, right? So I really think, like in her case, she came up with a short list. She went on all the artists and illustrators and hand letterers in her case that she looks up to. She found who represented them, and then she literally came up with a list of, I think, 30 agencies, and she systematically reached out to them. And she wasn't arrogant, she wasn't ego driven. She was there basically saying, it would be an honor to work with you. She put together a bit of a pitch deck and a real nice professional thing of here's my work, and I'd love to connect and see if we can do something together. She went in super humble, super ambitious, and friendly, and she said it actually helped her to be a bit more naive with realizing how hard it can be. She just went in thinking like, oh, everyone gets agents and that's fine. So she went in pretty proactively. She didn't have fear holding her back. It was only after she did it, she heard the numbers of how tough it can be. So out of the 30 she reached out to, she heard back from 3. And I think given the quality of her work, the experience she had at that point, her general proactive approach, it sounds like that is actually a very good conversion rate. So I would play the numbers. Don't be disheartened. If you reach out to 12 people and don't hear back, then realize it's not that you suck. It's a numbers game. So you might need to reach out to 100 agencies to hear back from 1. Don't be disheartened. It's like people trying to get published with their writing or with a book or something. You have to just keep persisting, keep putting it out there, refine your pitch, make that as quality as possible. Don't just blanket spam out some crappy pitch to agencies. Take the time to find people that are going to be a good fit for you. And then I often talk about this. In order to improve a numbers game and improve your odds, go specific, go personal, create something shock and awe that they can't ignore. It's not another generic letter on their desk or a generic email in their inbox. You've actually illustrated something. Maybe you've illustrated them or something that's going to be important to them about their company. And that's part of your cover letter. And that's going to make you stand out. So I hope that helps, Paul. So the next question is from Delphi. Again, Delphi, you've been an amazing community member. I'm getting so many supportive DMs and comments from you. So I'm really, really pumped to answer your question on today's show. And Delphi asks, how important is personal development and upskilling when running a business? I don't know. I can't speak for every entrepreneur out there, every business owner out there. I can only speak my truth. For me, it's huge. If anything, it's what makes me an entrepreneur. That desire to constantly iterate and evolve and improve on, I guess, a personal level as well, but definitely very much a business level. I love that stuff. When I did a bit more consulting, my consultancy website was literally called Push Standards. It was all about pushing that standard forward. And that's what I pour into my business and my work now. I always think, how can you go the extra mile in everything we do? It might be customer service, it might be product quality, it might be our strategy, it might be how laser targeted our ads are. I hate laziness, I hate half measures. And so for me, seeing how extreme, like to what limit you can push stuff and normally take it even further than that, that has been my winning strategy in business and I think to an extent in life. Yeah, I don't see that at all as like let me check the question again here. How important is it? Yeah, basically it's the whole game for me. The caveat would be it can lead to like some pretty intense burnout and stuff like that. I guess when you're a bit more type A and you want to just push, that can come back to bite you. So when you are constantly improving, you also get the whole thing of, I feel like I'm never good enough because I'm always chasing this moving goalpost. And so people who have that inclination as I do, I think you often struggle to like pause and sit and celebrate where you're at and realize the current accomplishments because you're always looking at that next thing. And to actually take the time to look behind you and realize how far you've come as well is absolutely something you should do more. It's something I definitely need to do more. But yeah, upskilling, personal development, huge. I actually also think entrepreneurship makes you more introspective. And I think it often leads to personal development. It's amazing to me how many entrepreneurs take up things like meditation, all that kind of thing. And for me, I will try and develop myself to make me a better entrepreneur. It's like when people say they will eat more to allow them to like go harder in the gym kind of thing. Or no, the other way around, they go harder in the gym to let themselves eat more. But you know what I mean? Like I will do stuff like meditation. I will do stuff like work out, not only for personal gain, but because if I'm stronger and fitter and healthier and less tired, it's going to let me go harder and be a better businessman, a better entrepreneur. So for me, like, it's so much of my life is predicated on like, how do I incrementally get a bit better? So that's my truth. Next question is from Delphi again. I'm loving the double questions today, guys. But I definitely want to include this because it's a great question again from Delphi. Delphi's other question is, when is the time to hire someone to help you out if you're a one-person show? And I like to think I'm better versed in this now. Man, I used to suck at this. I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs and creatives out there can relate. I could not let go of anything. And in fact, I know so many people can relate. I got off a call with a big person earlier, as in successful. They're not like a giant or anything. But she was basically saying she can't let go. And there are people who are killing it. They're unbelievably successful in their own right, but they've hit a ceiling or they're starting to burn out because there's too much for them, but they still can't relinquish control. They can't hire. And the reason I know how they feel is it took me 10 months to hire. So I spent 6 months building my company, Design Cuts, and then it took 10 months into the company launching to hire anyone. And that's nuts. Like, given the numbers we were pulling in and the growth we saw in year one, I should have hired like in the second week. Should have hired before we even launched the company. It was ludicrous. I was trying to spin all the plates. I wouldn't let go of anything. I didn't think anyone could do a better job than me at anything. I was like the ultimate control freak, the ultimate stereotype of that. And that was a really dumb decision. If I could literally transplant my current brain into my body 6 years ago, I would have been like, you moron. Here's how you scale out a team. Here's how you delegate, because you will burn out, which I did. I put myself in hospital. You hopefully all know that story. But equally, we could have grown so much faster. We could have land grabbed more. We could have executed better if only I knew how to do it. But I'd never managed a full-time team before. I had to learn all that stuff on the fly. So when we hired that first person, she was only part-time. I can't even remember. It took a while for her to go full-time, probably until the end of our first year. Again, ludicrous. My advice is recognize the power of it. Like, if you've got all your ego wrapped up in no one can do it better than me and I can't let go of control and it's too scary to do that, you've got to just move past that. I know it's tough. I've been there. But my God, like, this personal brand thing I'm doing, this is making no money, but I've got 3 to, let's call it 4 people working part-time with me to help me do this. I'm now getting to a process where I sit down on this sofa, I just speak my truth, and the rest happens like magic. It gets cut up and edited and uploaded to YouTube and cover art done and descriptions written and put on Libsyn, and the podcast goes out. I don't have to do anything. And that's not out of laziness. That's because I have very, very minimal time. And the time I have is better spent going and like jumping on other people's podcasts and doing business partnerships and just trying to create more content in this type of format. My time is not best spent by cutting up video because I suck at that. And Marco, who's behind the camera right now, is great at that. And it's such a simple lesson. But my God, if no one delegated, no one would have jobs. Like, there's a reason if your lawn needs cutting, like, people pay people to do that. Like, it's a good thing that delegation exists. You will be the bottleneck if you don't delegate. So, don't do it too early. If you've got zero traction, don't just chuck people at it. I also really, really believe with, I think it was the founder of Yahoo who talked about hire slowly and fire quickly. So don't just frantically hire in a panic and get people that aren't a good fit at all. Hire the right people who are going to basically support you and let you grow this thing. But definitely don't wait too long. When you are hiring, I mean, I could do a whole episode about that, but basically find people with complementary skills to your own. Find the stuff that you maybe don't enjoy doing the most, or you suck at, or it's not a natural fit for you. Hire that stuff. Figure out the stuff that you do that you love the most, that you should be doing more of. Like, get a priority list of like everything you're doing in your business. What's going to bring in the most business? What is the stuff that lights you up? Do more of that stuff. Hire pretty much everything else out over time. And if that is a scary proposition, realize you always have ultimate control, right? When you hire these people, they're not going to start suddenly running the show. You're going to train them. You're going to check all their work. You're going to have final sign off before it sees the light of day. So you can still be like a micromanaging control freak as a stepping stone, but eventually you're going to get sick of doing that because you're going to think, I'm just checking this person's every detail and they're getting fed up and I'm getting fed up and it's not really freeing up my time. So I'm going to give them more autonomy. me, and it will slowly come, but it is a learning process. Just open yourself up to it and it will gradually get easier, I promise. Now I delegate stuff all the time and it doesn't scare me. At first it scared the hell out of me, so just get going on that journey and you will look back and be grateful because you scaled much more than you could have otherwise. Yeah, that was a really long answer, but Delphi, I hope that helped. See, this is what happens when it's unscripted. I just kind of rant and ramble at points, but hopefully I got my point across. And yeah, guys, I really appreciate the questions. As I said at the start of this episode, I enjoy this format. I want to do more of it. So if you want me to do more of it, please hit me up in the comments below. That is going to allow me to do more of these Q&A episodes. It's going to motivate me to keep going with them. And on that note, I will see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for watching this episode. Really, really appreciate you being here with me. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe right here on YouTube. Remember, tick the little bell icon so that you get proper notifications. I really hope you're enjoying the show. I hope you'll stick around for the upcoming episodes. I really want to keep bringing you as much value as possible. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you guys soon.